Welcome back to the Religious Treehouse. I'm Jodie.
And I'm Matthew.
How are you doing today, Matthew?
I am doing good. As maybe you can see in my background, maybe not. We're still in the process of this whole moving situation, but I found a microphone. So maybe the audio is better, maybe
Yeah,
not. But I think a win's a win for now at least. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. And calling back to our last episode where there was some microphone issues, do you have any words you'd like to say?
Oh my goodness. So I think I made the impression that last week we talked about Jephthah and that whole situation, and I think I led to the impression that Jephthah um, when he made his vow was expecting an animal or something to walk through the door that would greet him, and that would be the thing that he would sacrifice. But I think you know historically speaking, literally speaking, I don't think it's that absurd to think that there he was expecting a potential human to walk through that door. Like that is not unheard of that time, and offering a human sacrifice in some extent is evident in the biblical narrative. So I don't think I made that clear. I think I made it kind of. I think I kind of implied that it was probably supposed to be an animal, and I don't think that was the case. So that's where I'm sticking it. Our first revision. No one had to correct me on this. Please correct me on things, people. I corrected myself on this. Um, but
The
yeah, that
episode's
is
not even out.
that's yeah. At the time of this recording, it's not out. You guys haven't heard it yet. Only I've heard it.
Yeah.
Um, but we'll put that there, and then we can move on to our topic today. What are we talking about today, Jody?
Oh my gosh, I am so glad you asked because today we're talking about you're so not invited to my bat mitzvah. And I gotta say, I'm picky about my Adam Sandler movies. And this one to me is just a perfect movie. I love this movie so much. What are your thoughts initially?
Yeah, I didn't remember, but I'd actually seen this movie before. When I was a TA for a religion and film class, it was like one of the um, assigned essay topics that people could write on. So I watched it in preparation for people's essays. Not a single student wrote on it, but I watched it in preparation for it. So I was more familiar with this than I thought I was. But yeah, it's hit or miss with Adam Sandler movies, in my opinion. I think this one was one of his better movies because he wasn't so over the top dramatic as he kind of is in some of his movies in that aspect. Um, I also don't think that I was the target audience for this movie. So as a movie for me to sit back and enjoy, which I think this is like partially like what this movie was for, I don't think I was that target audience. But as an exploration of modern Judaism, I think it did really well and covered some interesting topics.
Yeah, I definitely can understand that. He definitely wasn't as over the top as he has been in previous movies, but
Mm.
his daughters, Sunny and Sadie, who played his daughters in the movie, really, I think, showed that they are, in fact, Adam Sandler's kids
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
they're acting so good.
the one thing about all of Adam Sandler's movies is that he's not scared of nepotism. Like he'll hire all of his friends. He's not scared. And we've gotten to the point where he's just hiring his family now. And like it worked. I'm not complaining about it. But I do think that he's just like, yeah, let's do some nepotism.
I love it. I gotta
In
say,
this
I love
in
me some
this
movie nepotism.
yeah, in this specific instance, I'm okay with it.
It works. It works. There are other times it doesn't work. Some would say during Coppola times. I don't have an opinion on that. But
What?
For Sandler, I'm good.
Yeah. But yeah.
So the movie, number one, it's just a fun, like I feel surface level people would look at it and be like, oh, it's just a silly little teenage girl movie. Like,
Mhm.
but underneath, they're just I really feel like I saw, looking at it through the eyes of we're going to talk about it on the podcast, I feel like I truly saw the beauty in the Jewish community through
Mhm.
this movie. Not only were they constantly together, like everyone was in contact with other people, like there was true community here, but the talking about this rite of passage, it gave me a deeper appreciation for it because when I started off the movie, I was like, oh, I'll just list all the different bar mitzvah themes. And then, we get to the end of the movie and we'll talk about that more later. But what do you think this film did best in exemplifying the Jewish culture?
I mean, I think, um, yeah, I think this is going to be an episode where we just kind of bounce from topic to topic instead of walking through it, which I'm excited about. My favorite part was Sarah Sherman's character, Rabbi Rebecca.
Mhm.
I mean, as someone who's not Jewish, I I think some people may have critiques of like her theological analysis of God as random sauce. Like I think that's a valid interpretation um, in Judaism, but it may not be like the way that a lot of rabbis would approach that. But I did appreciate their approach to presenting one, a female rabbi. So this is very obviously a reform community, or fairly obviously a reform community. That's what I assumed. Um, so presenting a female rabbi not in the aspect of like, hey, this movie is about a female rabbi, but just kind of having it be the norm. I think it really did really good at just setting things as being the norm instead of like pointing it out to us and saying, hey, this is something I really want to show you, this is a topic I really want you to think about. Like I'm awful with names. The main character's love interest, what was his name?
Andy Goldfarb.
Andy Goldfarb. He kept referring to his moms. So like the way that they just had these norms in the movie without like pushing them at you really, I thought was really interesting, and they did a really good job in both their like Jewish aspects and their cultural aspects.
My favorite part of the Andy Goldfarb and the Jewishness of everything was that in the opening sequence, Stacy's dream reality is that Andy Goldfarb first took notice of her during her performance of Queen Esther at the Purim Festival. And I was
Right.
like, that's amazing. That is a beautiful little detail that if people didn't know like what that festival was, like now that I know what Purim is, I'm like, oh, that's so cute. That's such a cute thing for her to want because she probably felt really pretty that day playing Queen
Mm.
Esther, and for him to notice her and then at her bar mitzvah be like, I noticed you. You were so pretty. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's probably some girl's dream.
Yeah, no, it was very no, the main part of it was this coming of age movie. That's like the whole aspect of it. And I hate coming of age movies. And I'm so sorry for everyone who loves coming of age movies, but I think they're cringy, and they're not for me. I don't like them. Oh, and this no exception here. Like it was just as cringy and weird as that. But like apart from that, it was a good movie. But the whole situation with Andy Goldfarb, so cringy.
Okay. A coming of age is a rite of passage. We're watching a rite of passage. Rite of passages are important to cultures, Matthew. Coming of
Absolutely.
age movies are important to ours.
Of course. Of course. I hate them.
But that's when people come to self realization. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
Yeah, give it to me in a book. Don't make me watch it.
I love the cringe when she jumped off the ledge and her pad floated to the top of the water. Oh, I felt so much pain, but also I was like, well, this is going to make you stronger as a human being. So, gots to do what you gots to do.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, but before we like actually get into things, let's do a brief summary of the movie so
Oh, God.
our many viewers know what exactly is happening in this movie. Do you want to do the summary?
Oh, do you want to do the summary? You don't
I can
really
do a summary. I don't
do
care.
the summary,
I'll
Matthew.
do a summary.
Summarize this
So,
coming of age movie nicely.
right, right. I'll summarize this movie, not remembering any of their names. So we have this young girl who's turning 13, hence the bat mitzvah,
Stacy
who is
Friedman.
Stacy Friedman, who's Adam Sandler's daughter,
Yep.
in real life and in the movie.
Yep.
And she has this friend, Lydia. Don't know why I remember her name.
Lydia
Uh,
Rodriguez Katz.
yeah. So Lydia and her get in this fight, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, we can't be friends anymore." Then Lydia starts dating
Andy
Stacy.
Goldfarb.
Yeah, Andy Goldfarb, who is Stacy's crush, and then a whole bunch of drama happens, and then they break up, and then Stacy and Andy make out in the synagogue, And then they're like, oh no, this is horrible. And then they break up. And then Andy Goldfarb goes off with some other girl. And Stacy ruins Lydia's bat mitzvah. And oh no, it's tragic. It's horrible.
Not on purpose.
Not, well, yeah, not on purpose, but like it gets ruined. They're like, oh no, this is horrible. How can we ever fix this relationship? Yada, yada, yada. It's time for Stacy's bat mitzvah, and she's like, here, you can have my bat mitzvah, and then we're all friends and we're all together again. All of this is happening within the backdrop of a very religious Judaism, happening in religious school and a very Jewish community. So that's our summary that we got to way too far into this episode, but here we are.
Well, if you're gonna watch a episode reviewing a movie, I don't know why I assume you'll have seen the movie. I just think if you haven't seen the movie, you'll skip the episode. Yeah, some things I would like to highlight in there is that Stacy did disinvite Lydia from her bat mitzvah, and that's why
Hence the title of the movie.
You're so not invited to my bat mitzvah. But Lydia was still nice and was like, here, you can come to mine, because the families are kind of close.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, before we get even further, we haven't really talked about bar and bat mitzvahs.
Sure.
In the podcast, and them as a cultural, religious rite of passage.
Mm-hmm.
So these occur when people are 13.
Right. Yeah.
What's the lead up? What's the history? Where did this start?
Right. So like most cultures, not most, maybe most, I don't know. A lot of cultures have some rite of passage into adulthood. Where we grew up, quinceañeras were very, very popular.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's, one maybe most famous aspect in American culture, or Mexican American culture at least. But, all sorts of traditions have these coming of age. And that's how the movie starts. It lists a handful of different coming of age rituals in various customs. But we can trace back bar mitzvahs, depending on how you count it, to perhaps the first few centuries CE in some rabbinic literature, where it kind of talks about like some aspects of what it means to become an adult, and that includes like things that the father is supposed to do with the son. That includes circumcision, teaching Torah, getting him a wife, learning a trade or craft or some sort. And then by the 4th century ish, we have some rabbinic literature talking about that when you're 13, you read Torah verses on the Sabbath. And by the 6th century, that expands a little bit more. We get that before you're 13, you're kind of practicing religion voluntarily, but after 13, it's a mitzvot, or a commandment. So that's something we should say. Mitzvot means commandment. We can kind of translate as that. So a bar mitzvah is going to be son of the commandment. A bat mitzvah is going to be daughter of the commandment. And then B'nai Mitzvah is either going to be plural, so multiple bar mitzvahs, or it can be kind of used as a gender neutral. So B'nai Mitzvah, and we heard all three of those used throughout the movie.
Do we think Jesus had a bar mitzvah? Sorry to make this.
No. Okay, so right, because this happened early 2nd century, where we have our first kind of instances of this.
Yeah.
So Jesus is going to be before we get any instance of this. And it's not until the medieval period, 14th, 15th century, where we get the term bar mitzvah. And then where that looks much more similar, not exactly similar, but much more similar to what we would kind of imagine it today, where you get, boys learning Torah, laying the tefillin on them. We talked about the tefillin in our Noah episode, the movie Noah. And then that's when it kind of became customary for families to host a party of some sort. So that was the medieval period. So it's relatively new in the grand scheme of things, but still somewhat old. But bat mitzvahs are much more modern. So we can trace back the first bat mitzvah in America to
New York. I know it's New York.
It's probably
the Catskills.
New York. I don't know where, but it was March 18th, 1922. Is going to be the first bat mitzvah that we have in that I know of, that we have recorded in America. So this has only been around technically the bat mitzvah for just over 100 years at this point. But it wasn't until the 1970s where it became, a little more common for a bat mitzvah to take place. So, and we saw this in the movie at one point. We have Stacy with a bunch of older women, and then also Adam Sandler's there.
Yeah.
And he gets up to leave, and all of the older women are like, "Yeah, we never had this bat mitzvah and all that because it wasn't common until like the 1970s."
So much information. I'm going to assume maybe bat mitzvahs weren't happening sooner because were there ever any restrictions on women reading the Torah?
Yeah, it's Judaism generally has become much more um, accepting of women in leadership roles in the past century or two. I mean, like always, it's been a little more accepting of women in higher roles than other contemporary religions. In some aspects, in other aspects, not so much. Like as always, as time goes on, things change. But Judaism, especially Reform Judaism nowadays, is much more accepting of women in leadership roles, which
Okay.
is funny. Like all of the Jewish services that I've attended have been led by um, women rabbis, which is partially because I'm in a very academic area, very progressive in that sense. So yeah, I'm much more familiar with women rabbi than men rabbi.
Matthew's evolved. What can we say? Okay, so turn 13 or on your 13th birthday is when this takes place.
In most forms of Judaism, I think in all it's 13 for boys. In Reform, it's 13 for girls, but other like Orthodox and conservative Judaism, it's 12 for girls. But yeah.
So the preparation, does it start like a year before? What are we looking at timeline wise for when to start this rite of passage? Because they have to, how do they determine who reads which section of the Torah? Is there a class? Do they graduate in classes like in confirmations within the Catholic Church? You know?
Yeah, so I mean, this movie really talks about religious Judaism.
Mm.
So more secular forms of Judaism still often have, the B'nai Mitzvah party of some sort, and there's the celebration of like, hey, this is me becoming an adult. The reading of the Torah and stuff like that is, much more prevalent in in more religious Jewish households. And it can look a variety of ways. Often this will take place in religious school or Hebrew school, and that can look anything like what a more Christian Sunday school would look like once a week, or it can be like a full-on education, like regular education, or it can be like after school, afternoon classes type of situation. So it could be years of preparation. Usually, it's like leading up like a year in advance, where you have like talks with rabbis and stuff like that, leading into the ceremony. But the Torah reading um, is part of a liturgical calendar, so when you're going to be doing it, and you don't always read a Torah service. People can lead all or part of a service. They can chant blessings over the Torah, or chant a section of the Torah, or they can recite the Haftorah, or a blessing over the Haftorah, or deliver a sermon, or anything like that, or all of that. So it looks different depending on the congregation, depending on what they want. As is most things, not everything's set in stone. It's very much malleable depending on how the specific the folk religion is practiced. So in this movie, one error, I think I'd call it, is they kept referring to her Haftorah reading. She would be reading her Haftorah reading, which often comes from like the prophets, but she read and she was practicing for a verse from Exodus 34. So that would have been a Torah reading that she ended up doing.
I was gonna ask. I was like, so the golden calf, when does that take place? Because she referenced that as being part of
Mhm.
her reading.
Yeah, no, this is the what's it called? Key the Key Tisa. That was her reading section, which is Exodus 34-ish, or ends in Exodus 34, which normally takes place in the liturgical calendar around December-ish, and this was very clearly in the middle of summer. But yeah, this was the golden calf reading.
Wow, they should have had you on set. You would have been like, no, this actually isn't what she'd be reading right about now. Um, and the golden calf story, do they say Moses in that? Because I feel like I caught the
Mm.
name Moses in Hebrew.
Moshe, yeah,
Moshe.
you heard
Okay.
that a lot, yeah.
Okay, giving myself a pat on the back for that one. Look at us learning. So did you see any like biblical themes or stories they pulled up that were kind of maybe nodded to? They talked about Bathsheba and the snake, things like
Mm.
that. Do you think those were brought up at all in like the themes of the movie itself?
In the themes, I don't know. My problem is I
Mhm.
look at this from the more biblical studies aspect. That's my training.
Yeah.
So the references to David and Bathsheba were disappointing in my eye, because we look at that story and think, oh, David getting after Bathsheba, oh, how cute. That's an awful story in like the Hebrew Bible. Like when we look through it, like, no, this is David, sexually assaulting Bathsheba. Like that is what is happening there, and I'm putting that lightly. I'm keeping that PG. So the way that we kind of use that story is like, oh yeah, haha. I didn't love, but hey, who am I to say?
What story would you may have put in to keep it more lighthearted?
To keep it lighthearted. Oh, I
Well,
don't
because it's
know.
supposed to be a lighthearted movie
Yeah,
with
what was the context? I forget the context in which they brought that up.
it was Rabbi Rebecca teaching a lesson. So I forget what
Yeah.
the lesson was, but then she teased Aaron, that one poor kid who kept
Mhm.
requesting Don't Stop Believing from DJ Shmuley. He was getting bullied mercilessly.
Mm.
No, but now I can't quite remember the context. So Rabbi Rebecca killed my mother. She was giggling the whole time, the entire time. So quickly, go
Yeah.
Andy, so quickly.
My favorite joke in the entire movie was it was at one of the it was at a B'nai Mitzvah. I don't remember whose, but something dramatic was happening, and we get Rabbi Rebecca doing the Catholic sign of the cross. That made me laugh. Like it was so funny, and like I watched it with my parents, and they did not get the joke and why that was funny. I'm like, it's because that's a very Christian symbol, and she's Jewish, and they're at a B'nai Mitzvah. I thought it was hilarious. That was my favorite throwaway joke of the entire of the entire movie.
That and then when Adam Sandler at one point was like, Jesus,
Yeah.
that made me giggle. I was like, can someone decide that they can't have their bar bat mitzvah?
I mean, like, it's not really thought of in Judaism as like having a bar bat mitzvah per se. I mean, like you do say that and you do think of it that way, but it's more so of like becoming bar
Oh,
bat mitzvah, b'nai mitzvah, as
okay.
far as I know. In which like once you turn 13, you're kind of thought of as like, hey, you're an adult now. This is, like nothing like really changes. It's this coming of age ceremony as we've talked about.
Yeah.
But like like I'm sure you can cancel the party. You can be like, no, there's an egregious thing that you've done. We can't have a party. I don't remember what the exact specifics are, but I know like if you have a death in the family, like leading up to the B'nai Mitzvah, something happens. I don't remember exactly what, but um, there are, things that you can do. And I'm sure a synagogue could say, no, maybe you don't do the Torah reading today, but I don't know. I don't know, but on that one.
Okay. Um, the Teflon.
Mm-hmm.
I need to ask about it again because now I'm just seeing it as it was in the Noah movie, and I forgot about it because I was
Mm-hmm.
like watching her get ready to start reading the Torah, and I was like, why is she wrapping that around her wrist? So
Oh,
for
so that wasn't a Teflon. That was
okay,
oh my goodness. I always get this word mixed up. So the word for ocean and the word for hand are off by one letter. Um, and this is, like when you're learning a new language and you get words mixed up, this is like my crux. So that is going to be a yod,
Mhm.
and that's what I'm sticking with. And if I'm wrong, tell me in the comments. But that's a yod. So you don't like touch the Torah when you're reading it.
Okay.
You hold that little pointer finger, and you kind of put it over the little strap over your hand is like the symbol. So that wasn't a tefillin. That was
Oh,
something to help you like read the Torah.
what's the teflon again?
The tefillin is you wrap it around your arm, and there's like the
Oh,
big black box on it, and it's part of
yes.
like morning prayers.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Yo, teflon. We're learning. We're learning. We're learning. I
Hmm.
loved all the Yiddish in this movie, by the way, when they go through the four old ladies and they're each saying something different about like in a complimentary, endearing way. And we get
Hmm.
to the end and it's Shayna Punham. And I'm like, yes, this is the kind of comedy I enjoy. I don't know why. There's something about Jewish comedy that tickles something in my brain. I'm like, this
Hmm.
is funny. This is actually
Yeah.
like
You
they're
know, like um, Mel Brooks is like my favorite director of all time. He has like the funniest movies out there. There's something inherently funny I can't name about Jewish comedy. Um, and like there's so many like internal Jewish jokes about like if you want to be a rabbi, you have to be able to like be a good storyteller. You have to like be able to tell a good joke. And another one is like if you become a rabbi, you can't dance. Like if you dance, like it's just in an outrageous, egregious, hilariously bad way. And we saw that with Rabbi Rebecca. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's something fun and jovial about a lot of ways that Judaism is presented internally that I think is really fun.
I think I've exhausted my bat mitzvah questions, so here are my more
Okay.
random thoughts from the movie. I would so win I watch sad videos to see who could cry first contest,
Mm,
like Lydia and
yeah,
Stacy were doing in the back of the car. I just think this showed like I loved seeing the absurdity of teenagers, of how people think
sure.
teenagers act today.
Yeah.
Like Ronnie and her friend watching the scary movies in the middle of the bat mitzvahs. I loved the diverse groups of people we saw at each bat mitzvah.
Mm, yeah. No, I think that's worth talking about.
That was so cool. I was like, everyone's welcome.
Yeah. Well, on the one hand, yeah, everyone was welcome at the B'nai Mitzvah, which is very representative of Judaism. Like you invite all your friends, family, regardless of if they're Jewish or not. But what I really appreciated about this movie is how multicultural the Hebrew school was. There were Asian Americans. There were Mateo from Ecuador, who was Catholic, but he was like very much involved in how uh, they were experiencing Judaism, and I thought that was a really good inclusion of showing the multi-religious, the religious inclusivity of uh, interreligious dialogue that was happening there. I thought that was really good, showing the interreligious dialogue, and I thought it was also really good. I know I'm repeating myself about showing the multicultural, because when you think of like Judaism, you often think of Israeli or a white American type of person, but Judaism is fairly multicultural. Like it is multicultural. Like they're like you don't think of the stereotypical Jewish person to be Asian, for example, but like that very much exists, and they did a really good job at presenting that because it is very present, especially in America.
Yeah. It was a wide array of people, a wide array of bat mitzvah themes as well. Did you have a favorite? Do you need me to be reminded of all the themes we saw?
Sure, there was Candyland.
Mhm.
There was New York. I love New York. I'm a big fan of New York.
Yeah.
Um, what else did we have?
There was the Mardi Gras theme. There was the basketball theme.
Hmm.
And then two other themes that were mentioned were Ronnie's, where she had a potato bar.
Hmm.
And that probably is most accurately what I would have done at that age.
Yeah, I love a good potato bar.
I love a big potato bar. It's I'm like, yes, go
Hmm.
off. And then the medieval theme. which was the one with knights that had the unfortunate um acronym.
Of course, of course.
I don't want to
Um,
say it.
but yeah, I think, and they talked about this movie as well about how it kind of evolved. Where Adam Sandler mentioned that his bar mitzvah was, just a few family members and stuff invited over, and it's this, relatively small event. But and this is a good, way of showing how cultures evolve and change. Like this has become a much more, uh, a much bigger event, much more celebrated event than it has in the past 100 years. So religions, cultures evolve, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Just like Hanukkah. Hanukkah is, a very minor holiday in Judaism, but has become more and more popular over the past, few centuries or so, as Jewish culture assimilates into larger American culture as we have it here. Cultures evolve, and it's interesting how that's presented.
Yeah, yeah. I really think we need to get on the Purim thing now. I think that there needs to be much larger Purim festivals in the
Yeah.
United States. I If there's one thing I'm advocating for, that. Um, the Mitzvah Project,
Mhm.
is that something you've heard of being common? I've never heard of a Mitzvah Project when I've seen bat mitzvah movies.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Okay.
It's not, every person that does it, but I have heard of it where you try to do something good for your community, um, in some way as like an expression of, their Jewishness or their faith. But yeah, I've heard of it. It's not unheard of.
Okay. So it's not unheard of. That's cool to me.
Hmm.
It needing to be an expression of something you do, feeding quarters into a parking meter. And I know that wasn't her end project, but I was like, that's
Hmm.
such a smart one. Like
Yeah.
people like that's so nice that people don't even think of doing that. I feel like
Hmm.
nowadays, although parking meters are now digital, so it's very annoying.
Yeah.
But I really love that her thought process initially was, yes, I'll do my mitzvah project at the old folks' home that Andy Goldfarb's grandmother is at to
Hmm.
get to him. I was like, that's such teenage girl logic. This,
Yeah.
this movie
Yeah.
did so well showing a teenage girl's mind.
Right. The idea behind this is what Rabbi Rebecca was trying to talk about before she got interrupted by everyone asking about why is the world, like, if God is real, why is so many bad things with the world? She brought up the concept of tikkun olam, which she wasn't able to elaborate on, but that means to heal the world or something along that aspect. So one of like the central tenets of Judaism is tikkun olam, to heal the world in some aspect, and it's like doing these good things to like help people out. So the Mitzvah Project is definitely an outpouring of Tikkun Olam.
Yeah, and to use that to get to a boy, exactly what a teenage girl would do. Oh, what does Sema mean? Rabbi Rebecca kept calling Stacy Sema
I don't know. It's probably just like a term of endearment.
because I looked it up and it showed me SIMA, which was joy and happiness, but in the captions it said SEEMA. But I'm inclined to believe joy might
Yeah,
be
it could be. It's
accurate.
probably just a term of endearment of some sort.
So I still can't get over the fact that what part of the
Right.
Torah you read
It
is
could
based
also
on your birthday.
be, sorry. It could also be like her Hebrew name. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know.
okay.
That's something I didn't pay any attention to, so I can't speak to. Sorry.
It's fine. No, I'm just noting it for when I talk to Adam Sandler next. We'll see. Um, so I'm still like kind of tripping up on the fact that what part of the Torah you read is determined by when your birthday is.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Like, so you'll know from a young age, and you have to learn it in because you have to sing it in Hebrew.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it
Well,
not sing, but it's
yeah,
the
and
way it's
depending on your
written.
congregation, sometimes you won't do that. Sometimes you'll do a sermon. Sometimes you'll read a blessing over the Torah reading.
Okay.
So it's not like set in stone, But and as dates and things change, it doesn't always necessarily have to be on like that exact day. So it could be off a few days or so. But yeah.
Yarmulke question.
Okay.
What's up with yarmulkes? I think I kind of have an understanding of why they wear them, but I would like you to say that for the class because there were so many yarmulkes.
Yeah, I mean it's like culturally it's a sign of like, hey, I'm Jewish. And I'm sure I actually don't know off the top of my head, like I'm sure it's in some rabbinic literature somewhere, but I don't know the exact reasoning behind it internally.
I thought it was because you weren't supposed to show the top of your head. I
Yeah,
don't,
that's it. That's it. Yeah,
yeah, because
yeah,
it was very similar to other different kinds of veiling
yep,
and things like that. But then I was like, oh, Rabbi Rebecca's wearing one.
yeah.
So is it for men and rabbis?
I it's traditionally for men. Rabbi Rebecca is, you know, having the time of her life, and the rules are very bendy. Like nothing's necessarily really set in stone. And she's wearing a yarmulke. She's wearing a kippah. The rules are rules for specific people, and then sometimes you can change rules for other people. It's not nothing set in stone. As I think what we see here is being so familiar with Christianity, where so often in the Christianities that you're most familiar with, things are set in stone. This is how you do things. This is how everyone should do things. When we look at other religions, where things can be much more fluid, when we begin to understand that religion is not a monolith, that there are many ways to do religion. Uh, when it's presented in not the standard, typical, normal way, it can make us ask those questions like, oh, why is Rabbi Rebecca wearing a kippah? Why is she wearing a yarmulke? And, that could just be a choice that was made, or it could be them saying, like, hey, gender roles and stuff like that. But who's to say?
Just say, I thought this was a beautiful movie, though. It really, I felt stressed the importance of community.
Sure.
Um, and yes, it was about her becoming a woman and all of those things, but it was also just her recognizing all of the good she had. It was a lovely coming of age movie. Do
Yeah.
you have any strong thoughts left on the way some things may have been presented or
I do not have any strong thoughts left. I think we've gone through my all of my main thoughts, and thoughts I didn't know that I had. We've gone through them.
yeah. No, I'll definitely be adding more coming of age movies to the roster now.
Mm,
So thank you
great.
for that. Don't
uh,
expose your underbelly.
yeah.
So thank you all for joining us today. Matthew, was this a religious movie or did it just depict religion?
Yeah, I mean, this one, I think it did a really good job at depicting religion.
Yeah. This depicted religion. So entertaining. It's so fun. It was lighthearted, but the seriousness was there.
Yeah, it very, modern. It wasn't like saying, "Oh, this is how you should do Judaism." It was just it looked at this one specific instance of like how Judaism is practiced, and a very religious Judaism. Which, this isn't to say this is how all Judaism is practiced now. It's like if you want to watch this movie to say, okay, what is Judaism? Like there's not really ever a movie for that. This is a movie that you can watch. Oh, how can some people practice Judaism? And I think they did that well.
Special shout out to Adam Sandler's wife and Idina Menzel. I didn't really talk about the two moms in the movie, but I loved both of the moms. They were phenomenal. Um, had to deal with their shenanigans of the men they had chosen to spend their lives with. Good cast, good jokes, good movie. It's on Netflix right now. Go watch. All
Yeah.
right. If you have any thoughts, feelings, or complaints, direct them all to Matthew on the following places: TikTok, Instagram, Bluesky, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Email us at theriligioustreehouse@gmail.com. leave a comment here on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music. Wherever you get your podcast, you can find us. And wherever you can find us, again, address it to Matthew.
Yeah, we have links in the show description notes.
Links below. Links below.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Just don't talk to me. I'm just kidding. I love you all. Have a great day. Thank you for joining us here at the Religious Treehouse. Bye.
Bye.
We should watch Happy Gilmore 2 next. That's coming out.
Oh my goodness, that's so relevant. We chose an
it?
Adam Sandler movie. Wow.
Look at us go. Though?
Happy Gilmore? It was about golf.
Well, golf could be religion to someone.
And we'll talk about that at some point, I'm sure.
To define religion.
We do.